We had a really good session with the architects, and I feel like we made a lot of progress. And while what we have isn't a final plan, we're pretty far from that, we have a really good idea, the shape of the building, the things that will happen inside of the building. So I left that last meeting feeling pretty good, and I think the other people did too. There was talk of a public meeting in December, but that's not going to happen.
We just don't have enough time to really
Just don't have enough
advertise
time.
it.
So it'll be in January, which I think is better because it'll give us more time to prepare, to be able to answer the kind of questions that we anticipate from the public. And I think we will be able to handle all of their questions, even the weirdest possible ones. Because we have put a lot of time into thinking about why we want certain services, why we need them, where they should go. And so I feel good about things. How about you, Gail and Scott?
Absolutely, I concur with Janet, and as much as I'd like to see us move forward in December, I agree that I think we need to postpone that. If only, I think it's the kind of thing we're going to need a dry run on the presentation and talk about anticipated questions. But yeah, we're moving along.
Okay, anything else in facilities? We're pretty, we don't have a date for we won't know the January date for a little while yet, right?
But we don't have a January date yet. I mean, the whole process has been, we've been at this since April of this year, gathering a lot of data, input from all of our different user groups, relying on the architects and their knowledge and experience and design skills to point out challenges and opportunities with this building. I think it's been particularly challenging trying to do this planning in a pandemic because we would have liked to have done more in-person meetings and those sorts of things, but we just aren't able to do all that. I will say that the committee that we have together, made up of foundation, library staff, city, and our board members, we really struggled with some challenges and some difficult pieces with this building and had to make some difficult decisions. Some of those decisions are going to be popular and some of them are probably going to be unpopular. But there is a lot of thought and consideration that went into how we decided what to include and what to put aside. So,
I do think we should commit to January because the retreat is in February.
yeah,
So,
We need to.
early January is when we need to do it, well before the next board meeting, which will happen in late January. So,
Okay.
Okay, good. Let's see, Emily, anything on governance?
I do not have any.
Okay, thank you. Next thing on our agenda is advocacy and Chris, and before we do that, we're going to move over here to do it. So I'm going to suggest, if you don't mind me shifting the order on us, that we quickly touch on strategic plan, going to the unfinished business just for a minute.
Yep.
On the strategic plan, Scott and his staff have been really working getting that close to a final revision for us. We will have some of that ready shortly. To make it more effective, productive for us to do this, what I think we'd like to do is ask Emily, let's see, Garrett's not here, and Janet,
Chris.
and Chris. Yeah, that covers it, yeah. Emily, Janet, and Chris, Garrett, to review that strategic plan before our next meeting, and we'll get together and have a discussion of it, either in person or via Zoom, and make any final revisions and get something out to the whole board to review so that we can vote on it at the next meeting. Okay, but we'll do sort of a smaller
Right.
review of it before asking for a quick vote for the whole thing.
Good idea.
Okay.
And then other members, if you have comments, send those to those people that are on your committee, because all of you are on, like Janet leads the facilities committee, Emily leads the governance, and Garrett Garrett leads the finance committee. So we want to use the committee structure and just kind of put this ad hoc committee together to review the plan so we can complete it. This is really the last lap of the strategic planning process. Again, this is a project that is kind of run in parallel to the master plan. We've gathered feedback, input data. We didn't include all of the appendices, which have the census data and the survey and the benchmarking that we've done in here. You just have really the result of the goals and objectives for where we'd like to go in the next 5-year plan. So you can review those if there's things that we've overlooked or we didn't stress as well. This committee will make those corrections and we'll come up with the final version next month.
Right. And those of you who aren't committee chairs, feel free to send your comments on it to your committee chair or directly to Chris or to me. We just need to get them somehow to this group to discuss.
Yeah.
Okay, doesn't matter who you send them to. Ebooks lobbying and legislation. I don't think there's anything we need to
I don't have
discuss on that today.
anything update on that. I need to, since the election, I think everything is kind of changing with the legislative package, and I'm hoping to get more information on that going into next year, because it's going to be a longer General Assembly session, and I think they're really kind of the Library Association and the community is really trying to figure out how to, what the next big issues are going to be. One of the big issues lately has been this censorship issue. I think you all probably heard all of that stuff happening in, was it Spotsylvania? Yeah, Spotsylvania was, they were removing books from the shelves and,
Burning.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. That's always very sensational. The Virginia Library Association has made a comment, and the Virginia Library Directors Association is going to put out a statement on it, opposing censorship. So,
One thing I'd like to say on that one, and I think you're reading it a lot, and you're all aware of it, but there's a vast difference between us as a public library and the school system's libraries. And I think that we need to not even be considering some of those same concerns that people are voicing for their libraries and the schools, and they've got different reasons for thinking about that and dealing with it. That we should have a very open library, and I think our policy has been that. But we haven't heard a lot of pressure on the public libraries. We've been hearing it on the academic libraries, and primarily the middle school and high school libraries, I think. So I don't know that it's a big issue for us. I hope that it doesn't become one.
it hasn't, but during when this all kind of hit, I reviewed our collection development policy, and Clay and I discussed it, and just reminded people that we do have a very strong collection development policy which addresses these concerns, and really describes how we select the books that we put on the shelves and how a book lives in our system. So we haven't had, to my knowledge, I haven't had any reported complaints about books, and in general, I haven't had any since I've been here. Knock on wood, that hopefully won't happen.
And we're sort of one that has a broad enough collection that we can satisfy and insult everybody
Yes.
who wants to be.
Yeah.
You can find something against or for if you look hard enough
That's right.
in our library. And that's the way it should be, I think.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on real quickly. I'm going to ask for an approval of the meeting schedule. And what I'm going to mention on that is that the meeting schedule is in your packets, and it has locations other than Maine. We are going to be meeting at Maine unless the city lifts some of the restrictions and we start feeling more comfortable about social distancing. Our meeting rooms in the branches are small. We don't get the distance in the meeting rooms that we would get even up in Gelman. It's actually as close to being in the boardroom, probably. So we're just, for the moment, showing those branches. We hope to be able to get to them. The things will be eased up enough, but that's why it shows Maine/Belmont or Maine/East End, whatever. Any questions on those, on the schedule? Can we get a quick vote of approval on that? If I could get a motion to approve.
Move to approve?
Okay, Gail.
Second?
Okay, second, Janet. And all in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? Nay. Okay.
Is everybody comfortable with the spacing in here and how we're doing this?
Yeah. Okay, holiday schedule. That one is going to take a little more time to discuss. I'm not sure that we want to get into that discussion today at any length. Quite honestly, we have been at something of the mayor's, command on that. When he announced the changes for Thanksgiving or Christmas, we've sort of had to play that game with him, because our employees are city employees, and if he gives them off, if we don't give off, then we have two issues to deal with, one financial and the other morale, and we have to deal with both of them. At the moment, we've been saying, okay, if the city does it, we'll go along with it. And I think the schedule that's attached to it is pretty much based upon what we anticipate coming from the mayor's office in 2022. We may need, down the road here, to make some changes, to look at it and say, we really don't want the library closed for 5 days in a row, 4 days in a row, and how we would deal with those things. But I don't think any of us, at least I'm not prepared to get into those specific discussions today unless you all really want to. Okay, if we're good with that, just because we need to have it done at this point, if we can go ahead and get a motion and a second to approve the schedule as included in the board packet. A motion?
I move that we accept the schedule that's in the board packet.
Thank you,
for
Barbara.
2022.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
Dale? All in favor, aye? Aye. Opposed? No? Okay.
I just have a quick question. Scott, has it ever been that the library was closed 5 days in a row?
That's a good question.
I just think that's a lot of days.
It is.
I have rarely seen a library close that many days in a row. I think in all my years of doing this, when you have a holiday on a weekend, it does turn into you get a Friday.
3-day,
Or a
maybe.
Friday or a Monday,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Well,
I
and-
haven't ever seen that many days.
So next year, we will be better prepared to say, here's why the library needs to be, if they do this again, which it might not happen, are we going to be able to say, we need to be open on this day or that day?
So I think that's a bigger discussion.
Right.
And I have included that as a goal, as an objective in the
Okay.
strategic plan, because I would like us to have that discussion.
Okay.
Because in many ways, we need to be responsive to our patrons. And being closed, not in kind of the way that government closes, may be too much. And we should probably consider how that impacts us. Now, that will come at a cost.
Right.
Because we'll have to override what the city's mandate is and pay people overtime or that sort of thing. But that's the decision that we need to kind of face and go through.
Well, I don't see how we can say we're essential, but we're going to be closed 5 days in a row.
Correct. And so that's the discussion we need to have and come to a resolution on it and find a way to manage this going
Yes.
forward.
Does it help you at all, Scott, to say your board was not at all happy with the 5 days?
Sure, yeah.
And they went along with it, but don't count on them doing it next year.
Right.
Just as a way, just go on the record.
Yeah.
Because I would be happy to be part of the voice that says, I'm not comfortable with 5 days.
Right.
I'm with Janet.
And I don't think, we have 4 days in here at the longest right now for this calendar. I think it's a risk that we could end up with a 5, right?
Right. And again, we're in this pandemic sort of thing, and this is, kind of confronting that and offering consideration of that. I'm not going to say it's right or wrong or whatever.
No,
but-
yeah.
But we face a fundamental issue with whenever a Saturday is not this year, for example, with Christmas Eve falling on
Friday and
Friday and Saturday, we're fine. We were surprised by the days ahead of that and behind somewhat. But next year, the Friday close is already built in there because the mayor sort of makes the assumption that the city's not running on Saturday.
Right, and
So
that's a common thing
Okay.
across the city, is most city departments are closed on Saturday and Sunday. Parks and Rec even closes on Saturday and Sunday, and it's all about resources. If the resources come, we can be open on those days. And I believe we need to treat our customers, our patrons that way as well.
Yeah.
But that's a decision this group has to make, because there will be a cost associated with it. And, a holiday pay cost or something like that, we'll have to navigate. And that's okay. I think respecting our employees, saying, hey, you're going to work on a holiday, but we are compensating you for that.
Right.
That's part of what we do. That's our job.
Right.
So,
Right. But to your point, Janet, we can't say we're relevant
correct, if we're closed for 5 days.
and be closed for 5 days.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll mention that goes with that, Scott and I talked about, is that people do tend to say, what are the city hours?
That's right.
If the city's closed, they tend to think that all the city things are closed. So we're
And I will say.
not hitting the situation where a lot of people are saying, why isn't the library open? They may be saying, why is the city closed? But I do
I was
think we
going to say,
want to be
I don't
open.
ever know when the city's
Yeah.
open. so-
Yeah, and so this is something that's almost like, it has to be a culture change, and it has
Yes.
to be a community change.
Yeah.
And it won't happen overnight. If we start opening on holidays and we adopt a holiday schedule, it's going to take some time for us to build that usage. Because I have found in the past, it's like Bill said, they assume that we're closed as part of the schools and part of the city.
Yeah.
I think we have users that will use us, and we need to respond to that.
And this coming year is a great example of it. Christmas
Yes.
Eve being observed on the 23rd for the city, so we're closed on the 23rd. We obviously have to be closed on actually Christmas Eve,
Yeah.
on that Saturday, so we're sort of bumped into that. And then because Christmas Day is on a Sunday, mayor's giving off Monday, which is how we end up with both Friday and Monday.
That's crazy.
Given off.
That's
And
crazy.
Thursday.
Well, I've
This
worked
is
in
the worst
organizations
possible
where the
scenario.
library was open on Christmas Eve day until noon.
Yeah,
That's
I never had
crazy.
That
these
used to
kind
be
of
done.
days off when I worked in a public library.
Well, and that is why it's in this document that we will have a discussion about it and come to
Yes.
some, I
I
think
feel
it's
like this
important that
year
we
we
do that.
couldn't really upset the apple cart, but I want to be prepared for
and it would
Well-
also be helpful if the mayor didn't decide, ooh, it's 3 days or a week before, and we're going to
You're
suddenly
exactly
give these
right.
days off.
You're
Is he
exactly right.
doing this so people will like him?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's it. I
don't know
think
if
he's
that's
being
enough.
considerate of,
I'm sorry. I
But,
should-
but I think we also have a fatigue factor for people who have had to work,
Yes.
yeah.
True.
through the pandemic. So I think anytime workers can get a day
Yeah.
from however it comes, they are most appreciative.
Yeah, our staff has had to work through this whole crisis.
Yeah.
They're very anxious about, we had to work through all the anxiety of them coming to work, and, there's been a lot of tension, just enforcing a mask mandate.
Yeah.
We've had these discussions, and it has been a lot, and so I think it's gracious of the mayor to consider all of our employees and give us this time to kind of, help their mental health, maybe feel valued. I do think those things are important. That's one side of me, then the other side of me is like, 5 days is a lot.
Yeah.
And I really, I don't want to deprive our citizens of access to the library. So we just need to find a way to kind of balance this out. That's exactly right.
And that's a funding issue and a
Yes.
staffing issue. And my guess is if the funding is there, that we will find some staff members who are happy to work some of those dates at increased pay for that time.
Yeah.
So, I don't think that'll be as big an issue then. Okay, so did we vote to approve the holiday?
Yes,
We did take the vote on it, yes, okay.
grudgingly.
Then we're going to move on to Chris and come back, and then we'll just have to adjourn. So no other business other than that. So Chris has asked that we move over to the chairs here.
Right.
Have a
Yep.
little more
Yep.
interactive,
You
comfortable.
don't need to bring anything with you except for this handout.
Okay?
Just stand behind here so it doesn't slide back.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll bring
Okay, thanks. I just need this. Oh, thanks.
Laura, move on over. Susan, Clay, everyone, over.
Oh, thank you. Uh-huh.
They've got 4 or 5 of them. I know you do. Sit in the back.
just like at school, nothing changes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, let's go over what we're gonna do, okay? The first thing we're gonna do is we're going to tell me all the reasons the library is important. And this is from your point of view, it's from your neighbor's point of view, it's from the community's point of view. So I expect this list to be pretty long. That's gonna be step number one. Then there's going to be a second step I'll tell you once we get this done. And then with all those wonderful thoughts about the library, we're going to move to the strategic. We're going to talk about city council, which is going to be our focus for this meeting, and what we can do with them as far as talking to them and interacting with them to get the library front and center when they make money decisions. Because we have very few problems in this library that money will not solve. So that is, and then after we've come up with all these great ideas on how we're gonna talk to the city council, we're gonna develop an initial action plan. We're gonna talk about who talks to who. How do we develop a nice crisp message? What's our timetable? We're gonna get that all, it's gonna be a draft form, so we're gonna have time to iterate it. So this is just raw ideas. We're gonna refine it in a second go round, so don't worry if we're not perfect. I don't ever worry if I'm not perfect. But it's going to be an amazing first start. Now, I just want to tell you two things before we get going. I'm a terrible speller. You are absolutely free to laugh hysterically at anything I misspell. I am a medium hearer, so if I say what, especially with math, don't think it's your problem, it's my problem. But I just want to make sure I capture all your ideas. So are we comfortable with what we're doing?
Would you like a writer? Would you like someone to write?
No, I'm a good, no, I gotta be doing it, no. Because if not, I just sit and talk all the time. You do not want that. Are we all comfortable?
Yeah.
We feeling good about this? Okay, let's start then. Why is the library important?
Books,
Books.
B-O-O-K-S. Did you hear me, Chris? I'm sorry, I'll be serious.
You're terrible, Janet. I don't know why I like you.
It provides resources and services for the community.
That's a lot of words.
Can I say that community resources? Does that work for you?
Resources and services.
Space, whatever.
It's also a safe place too.
Okay, you guys now have to take your mask off when you talk, because I am really a disaster.
It's a safe place.
Safe place, I like it, okay.
No judgments in the library.
It's a place you can be without having to buy anything.
Yeah. That would be free.
It's meeting space for the community.
I think it's also a place where you can introduce your family to your love of reading. You know, if you love to read, you take your kids to the library, your grandkids to the library. They know that this is a family value.
So let's stay on this one for a while. Love of reading, what audience can we really hit with introducing your love of reading through the library? Brent?
To me, I think libraries transcend all generations. I mean, you can be a baby boomer or a millennial. It's a place, it's a neighborhood classroom for all generations.
That's good. Good way to put it.
Yeah, we started just before the pandemic. At 18 months, we were going to the library every single Saturday with our kid, and he knew and recognized, and every time we passed it during the pandemic, he would say,
And
"Oh,
so
library's closed."
your son is how old?
Now he's 3.5,
Okay.
but he was 18 months old when he started going every day, and he started being able to talk about the library.
Okay, so can we talk about that being creating a love for reading, literacy
Passing
in
values
children?
along. Yeah, I think the word values is really important.
It provides people with an opportunity to learn and grow and
I like it.
improve themselves.
I don't know the right word, but it's like a level playing field for technology where it doesn't matter if you can't afford
Yep.
computers.
We haven't hit technology before, right,
Electronic
okay.
resources in America.
Source for community history. Sorry, source for community history.
Chris had to take her mask off to hear.
I did, that's exactly right.
I'm sorry, Chris.
And I still like you, Janet, but you're on the edge now. You're on the edge.
Pushing the envelope.
Learn how to follow instructions.
A place.
Is that for the staff or for the public?
For you, or for me, actually.
So I'd like to build on the technology issue. One of the things I learned when I went to, I'm worried about Emily, so I'm going to stand back. When I went to the libraries is people who work at low-level jobs in healthcare have to have access to a fax machine in order to fax in their time card. They can't get paid unless they have a fax machine. And at Northside, East End, Hull Street, that's like the number 1 or 2 reason people are walking into the library. It's livelihood, which seems so surprising to me. So I'm gonna put fax machine down, as odd as it seems.
I think that connection to employment makes it even more important.
Right. So we're just gonna say, so can we just say job, employment, all of that kind of,
Notary as well.
that, right?
Notary also helps people keep their benefits. So if you have assistants, you have to be able to connect to, like all of the DSS services, you have to be able to connect electronically. You have to have an email account these days.
The library is a pathway to so many things.
Correct.
That-
Taxes, benefits.
And people who have wealth don't even realize
Correct.
how important it is to go someplace and for free do these things that were mentioned.
That's right.
And it's accessible in your neighborhood, it's like you don't have to go far.
That is, yeah, okay, accessible in your neighborhood.
I think it's fair to say that within Richmond, you're about a 15-minute walk from any library.
Put that
No,
on there.
really.
would you?
Yeah.
So they really become community engagement centers, just like the grant that Susan mentioned.
Right.
And the community engagement ties also like the after-school programs and things
Right.
that kids can go, and it's, as we said, safe space also. It's the safe space for kids separately from the rest of the community sometimes.
Should we add a link to school libraries on our list?
Yeah,
Yeah.
do you want it on there? Yeah, I'm gonna put anything on there.
Or maybe just schools, I don't know, maybe it doesn't matter.
I think we've said it, but I think we can say it again. Children learn to, it's what Emily's point is, children learn to love libraries from story times and going with their parent. It's the root basis of literacy in Richmond, so.
And I don't know where it stands right now, but the program that we had with the daycare programs, you know, with the daycare centers. were
That's
bringing
a-
their
yeah.
children. Yeah. No, not RBA reads, the one where they were actually coming in, we
Oh,
had
yeah.
time in the library, so we were bringing them in.
We coordinate with childcare
Right.
facilities in different neighborhoods to have specialized story times for their group. Or librarians or library associates will go to their space and provide them a story time in their space. So that outreach is really important.
And then the Richmond Read, the fact that children actually get a book, you know, it's like having a library, but from the library, you get a chance to start your home library.
Right.
You know, you've got books that are on sale that are really, really cheap, or some that are almost like a giveaway, so,
Early literacy.
One of my first adult important experiences was voting in my library. My voting, spot. Precinct.
Maine is still a site, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Maine the only one now?
Yeah.
Or- Yeah.
Well, we also do the, what is that other program that we do when there's a crisis in the city, like, you know?
Yeah.
So we support the city during
Yeah, shelter.
emergency, EOC.
Emergency outreach.
You come here to charge your phone when you're.
Right, so when we've had a hurricane or a blizzard or those rain events, we have served the city as a cooling center or warming center. And also, you know, some libraries, if there's a disaster, they help people connect to FEMA and do all those things. So libraries, in times of crisis, provide that support, just like we're providing COVID testing. So it's all things that we do. It's a little bit different, but that's how you respond in a crisis.
Yeah.
How about something as easy as opening you up to new books? If you go to a book club or you have bookologist, or it just expands things that you would enjoy through a vetted guide of some sort. How would I say that, Scott?
Lifelong learning.
Also,
But
access to expertise. I mean, librarians are,
And
can offer that
that,
expertise.
yes, that is, yeah.
Collaboration.
You have access to such a wide variety of literature, old, new,
Collections, yes.
Collections,
Collections
yeah.
are,
And
Okay,
also-
say it again.
access to a variety of literature collections.
well, libraries do collection development that leads to what, those things you were mentioning.
Right. And smart collection development, just not what's on sale at Barnes and Noble, yeah.
really based on the community, so I mean, curate collection.
And I love the fact that our library, you get the arts here. You have both music and art programs that are going on that are open to the
Yeah.
city as well.
It's a place for folks to be able to do research.
Research,
Scholarly research.
research scholarly,
And genealogy too.
yeah.
And we have the new Black Life in America, which covers, press clippings, that's tremendous resource.
What is that?
It's Black Life in America. It's an online resource reflecting African American press and and how African Americans have been covered in the press from
Uh-huh.
1700 to the present day.
Wow. So it's in the list of all the other databases that the library offers?
I think mentioning electronic resources
Yeah.
specifically and ebooks.
Yeah, yeah, and that needs to be said specifically.
So our collections go way beyond the walls.
Right, good way of putting it.
Say it without your mask on.
Our collections go way beyond the walls.
Way beyond the wall. Ooh.
There must be a better way to say that, but I don't.
Scott calls it the 10th branch, right?
Our
Oh.
website is our 10th branch.
Yeah.
We're anywhere you are.
Technology centers.
I think that public libraries were developed in America. Is that a true statement?
Is this one of our ideas?
Public libraries?
Yes.
So I'm trying to work the word democracy into your list.
Let's put it in there. I'm with you.
But I don't.
I'm just gonna put it
Just
there.
put democracy.
I'm just gonna put it there.
And another thing that I think we sometimes forget is that we have information that is verifiable, but, you know, it's not certified, but
It's the only place you can go for vetted, free information.
Yep.
There is no other place that gives you those two things. And that is fundamental to democracy.
And it is a neutral place, of neutrality.
I'm going to add that. I think that's a good
It goes
point.
with the democracy. And you know, it's also, as Scott pointed out, 15 minutes walk or less from everybody.
Mhm.
To a lot of people, it is their closest contact with the city government
Yeah.
that they have. So we're representative of that to some level,
Yes.
the services. That and the parks are the two that are sort of neutral as far as everybody, you know.
Like a satellite location.
Mhm.
I think trust is an important issue too. People trust the library. They do not trust uniformly a lot of other institutions.
Yeah, right.
They trust the library. And we've got to hold that sacred. That's amazing. We good? We want to talk a little more? I'm not in a hurry.
Good list.
Okay. Scott, let me ask you to put this up. And we'll go to part 2 of why the library. I want each of you to look at this list. And I'm giving you 3 dots. You may put all 3 on one topic that you think is important. You may put 1 on each topic you think is important, but you have to use up all 3 of your dots.
The colors don't mean anything.
Not a thing. Head on up there and dot to your heart's content.
Do we get more than 3?
you want me to put your dots up for you?
All done.
Oh, you. Any obvious choice?
I'm gonna pick books, so we can't leave books. Is there a trash can anywhere, Gina? I'll go back here, okay.
I was gonna say, Chris, we really need more dots. It is hard
Raise the
to.
best practice, sorry.
Yeah, I know. Whenever you get those things, you have to list the top.
Everything's important.
I know. Well, there's a lot of overlap.
And there's themes that
They
come
are, they
forward.
really are. You can get it.
Which is why we'll work through this and kind of group
Yeah,
it
no.
together.
Thank you.
Oh, I did. You got yours? Do you have your trash? You guys are all on top of this.
So I'm just going to read what you can all see, okay? Books, community resources, Safe Place got 3. This is one of our winners. Free, all generations, teach children the value of reading and the love of reading, technology, accessible in your neighborhood, 15-minute walk for many of them. Lifelong learning, democracy, neutral, and the big winner, trust. So this is kind of our start, and we'll work on it and get it a little better. But this is our start of our message, right? Because if we all think it's important, our council people are going to think it's important too. So I have to clap for you guys. You did a great, great job. I'm going to take pictures of this and I'll share them with all of you. Ready to go on to number 2. What are we going to do about our council people? Okay? What do we need to do to get them to understand all these wonderful things we have going on? Gail, I'm going to make you start first because I know you've given this a lot of thought.
Yeah, it's a challenge to get an open ear. Threats have helped, but that's not always the friendliest way to do things. I said, as I came in, I said to Chris and I live a block away from each other, and I suggested that we invite our council woman, Catherine Jordan, to lunch in January when her kids are back in school. So we're going to do that. We've written letters. We talk to her regularly. I wrote 1,000 envelopes for her election.
Wow.
Handwritten, wrote 1,000 envelopes. So,
Okay, so personal relationship.
right.
Letters.
Make sure they know you, know who you
Yeah.
are. Yeah. Attend district meetings.
Attend
Maybe that's
district
something,
meetings.
we've done in the past. I thoroughly enjoyed going to the 9th district. I had no idea even where it was. It was a nice experience, and they had a ton of food.
Oh, I would have
Heather,
gone
our
there.
librarian,
All right.
as well. But anyway, so lots of things.
Okay, other ideas of things that we should be doing?
Get on the agenda at the district meeting is what, yeah.
attending them and getting on the board.
Right.
But at least when it's nice to present.
Uh-huh.
And the interesting thing, and Gail is one who got us doing that years ago, about presenting at those, is the questions you get, the discussions you get with the attendees really helps cement with the council people that the
Right.
citizens care.
Right.
Because
Right.
what we're constantly trying to do here is
Right.
get them to see why
Okay.
are we important to their citizens, their residents, their voters.
Okay.
And I think Gail mentioned the threat side of it. Threats will get us to a certain point, and they may get us to a maintenance kind of level. But it's the positive, the carrot side
Right.
that gets them to do the big things. They get them to go outside of a sort of a base level of funding.
Right.
So I think
I'm
we
only
will.
a carrot. That's all I am. So,
how do
We have to do that, I think.
How do we threaten people?
How do we threaten? By saying we're gonna have to close branches?
Branches.
Oh, you're not saying we're gonna primary you for that.
No, we're.
So I have
No
one,
weapons
and
involved.
you're gonna think it's silly. We need to use our best story time skills. We need to invite all of them, so they're all together, and tell them the story of this, what we've written there. On a comfortable social setting. I don't even know if they'd want to come. I don't know enough about our city council to know.
I know they're very receptive to, I know when we were going to the various meetings, they were very receptive to putting us on their agenda and hearing from us in terms of, what the needs were, what our numbers were, because they don't really have, they know we're there, but they don't really have a great idea in some
Right.
instances of what we're doing and
Right.
and how much it means to the community. But a lot of them, especially on the south side, because I think it was Reba Tremmel, hers is like a festival. I mean, they have music, they have food. I mean, it was quite an experience. I was shocked because in the third, our Hilbert was a really nice gentleman, but it was a very, very calm, steady meeting. And it was very different. And you get to see a side of we learn a side of our city that we really don't know as much about. But,
Yeah.
but I think the idea of all of them coming together, I don't even know if they probably do, I'm sure. But that's probably something that doesn't happen in a lot of, city settings where they all kind of come together for a purpose like what you're mentioning. But
Right.
it is a learning process. It really is a learning process. And I feel badly because my new council, I worked with her for such a long time, but I haven't gotten to know her in the same way. I reached out when we were talking about budget issues, but it was interesting because my response back was, well, you're the only person who's made any kind of statement about the library. Everybody else had other concerns, but it's like, they don't really, I don't know whether they really appreciate how important the library is to all of their constituents. in the area. So,
Right, okay.
In different ways.
I think a perfect recent case study in one of our neighboring communities, Henrico County built the Libby Mill Library, the new
Right.
Libby Mill Library, and they built an entire community around that
Around it.
as a
Right.
community asset, and a drawing card.
That's so true.
I mean, that's a great visual way to explain how important a library is to the community.
That was a very deliberate project.
Yeah.
That started 10 or 15 years ago, and the library was the anchor store.
Yeah, it's the anchor of the whole community.
And you could see as that developed, they brought Southern Seas in there, and they were a store that was, and they failed. The only thing that's there is the library, and yet the condos did get built.
Right.
And it's surrounded now.
You
Right.
can't even see the
You
library
can't
from
even see the
Staples
library.
Mill
Before you
anymore.
could see the library
Yeah.
from, I forget. what
From Staples Mill.
From Staples Mill.
You
Now
can't see it.
And I bet they get good door count.
Oh, it's huge.
It's a
That-
busy library.
And that library is open non-traditional hours.
Yes, it is.
Right.
Not to sidetrack us, but they are responsive to that community around them.
I also think the strategic plan will help us convince city council.
Yeah, that's.
I think so.
Could we perhaps get some sort of paraphernalia or literature or something that has stories of of people who have benefited from the library.
Exactly.
You know, voices of the people, not, you know, not just the board, but.
So one thing we did a few years ago, I've just been reminded of this, we did videos. Remember when we did videos, I don't know, some of you weren't here, we did videos of patrons and we interviewed, and we said, what does the library mean to you? And we have them on these videos that we did during some celebration. But I have all
Do you
these
still
videos
have
of
it?
people-
Do you still
Oh, yeah,
have it?
yeah, we still have it. It's a great piece because it's like, these people are talking about how the library is so important to them in their life.
Is it short individual videos, or is it a compilation of all of it?
It's about 5 videos here, like a minute to 2 minutes.
I mean, like, you know, we
We
could
did it during
interview
the
homeless
library.
people and interview children and, you know, and
Yeah,
people of various
people make
age
decisions
groups
on
and-
their heart. They need the facts. Gail's always reminded me the facts are important. But people say yes based on their heart,
And
so.
I'll tell you, children, you know, bring a tear every time. you know.
Oh, God.
I have to say,
Yeah,
but
you can't have
that's
enough
market
cute kids.
to kids, you know, saying what they do.
Yeah.
So I think for every one of those needs a personal illustration of those things.
Right,
Um,
right.
it's-
For their district,
For their
for
district.
their district, personalized.
So, examples, when I wrote my letter to my councilwoman, I said, I reminded of the person who said he got a job because of the library.
Right.
That helped. My grandchildren learned to read in your library.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
those kinds of things that, you know, the community welcomed me in Spanish, they said it. So,
Okay.
needs to have a personal touch.
So what you're saying is libraries can help people change their lives,
Right.
basically.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what the end of every story is. This person changed their lives because the library was there for them.
Right.
I mean, could something like that be added to, like, the website? You know, the videos or something, so that, you know, anywhere we go, if we say council person, you know, I mean, have you looked at the library website and seen all the testimonials of people who, you know?
Yeah, so we all really like this idea. This has some traction with us.
Well, the thing about individual meetings, which are fine and are essential, I think it's impactful to get, if we could get them all in the same room.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I also think it might be nice to invite them to their local library. I don't know that
Yes.
they've all been there.
Yes.
If they didn't want to hold a meeting there, they can meet the manager, we could have them see a story time. I mean, we crafted so it's that library at the best, not random, because I don't believe in anything being random. But invitations to actually go to their community's library.
Well, if we meet as intended on the meeting schedule, that would be the opportunity.
Yeah, and that, yeah,
I think you're right, that it's got to be a reason that they come in, they see something that
can we
wows
have
them a
them,
little bit.
I'm just gonna interrupt you. So your idea is to ask them to hold a meeting at the library, one of their
You know,
meetings?
we have a listing.
We have our meetings.
We are meeting at
But,
the, you know, at the other
Yeah.
branches, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
when we do, we invite, you know, the
council
council
person.
person.
Yeah.
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 But, you know, I think that, that they really benefit when, for example, I remember Scott and Gail both came to the, when they opened the addition or the renovation of the First District, West End branch. It was that nice festive,
Yeah.
people circulating,
Yeah.
a little bit of food.
Outside, you know.
The inside, outside, both, the full mix
So
versus coming and sitting in a
to
meeting room
Janet's
talking.
idea, if we can make it
It's a-
festive,
Yeah,
that
the
would.
festive helps.
Music, we can have music.
We can. But, and even if it's something going on that they see, because we're hearing from us, as you said, that's not necessarily the big thing. It's
Yeah,
the feeling those stories.
Right.
So if they come in with their story time going on, or when a librarian is doing something that they can see, that's beneficial.
Well, we could, you know, I know this is kind of way out there, and I don't, you know, it might be costly and time consuming, but have I won't say mini festival kind of at each branch. And, you know, with the theme of let's let the community know why we here, what we
Right,
do.
right.
And all that, and make a big deal out of
Right.
it per branch. And then, they would politically see a benefit in that because there possibly would
An
be.
excellent point.
multiple,
It's a
many
win-win
people.
for everyone.
Someone suggested holding their district meetings at the library. That, if it's physically possible, would be great. I mean, a lot of the time they do them at schools where they can sit 50 people or whatever in
Yeah.
a auditorium or something, and we don't necessarily have the room in some of our libraries to do that.
Right.
But
But we should try.
we might try
because you make
and
an
get them outside if we
excellent
needed
point.
some. And
You know,
Third-
Then they see that we don't have
if they
that.
see 40 people and the library's tiny,
hold them, right?
it sends a visual message.
Does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Ellen has hers here. Ellen Robertson has hers here,
Does she?
so.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so.
Third had theirs in the
The biggest
library.
need.
Mhm.
Third had their meetings in the library.
Okay.
At
See,
Denham Park and
we
North.
should make
Good.
that
We should.
offer. We should absolutely make that offer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a question that you guys may historically know. Did we used to have on our board a liaison from city council? Was it-
Only
was
by
that what-
district, essentially, by
Was that what
district.
Tim Kane was? Was the city council liaison to the
No, Tim
library?
Council was on, Tim Kane was on the library board at one point.
Oh, he was on the board,
He
not
was-
the liaison. Okay.
Right. We had board members assigned to districts.
Okay.
So we attended district meetings
Okay.
and things like that. And,
Okay.
the couple times we went, I thought it was successful. We had a program, specific presentation, usually about technology.
Okay.
Things. And some people said, oh, you have a website? You know, so-
They always say that, yeah, they
So
always say that, yeah.
it's, so I think it's useful.
Okay.
If you get one ear and they learn one thing,
Right.
I think it's productive.
Okay, other ideas? We're not in a rush. We want to make sure we get the core stuff down here. Going one. Okay, we're ready now to come up with a little bit of an action plan? All right, so I'm going to ask you to turn to the second page in your handout. And you will see we have a problem.
Yeah, this is.
We have a problem. So, let me focus on, to begin with, 6 through 9,
Okay.
which are our empty slots. And that includes the vice president of the council and the president of the council. We do not want these slots empty, right? So who knows any of these people?
I think Garrett has connections with Ellen Robertson. I think he's mentioned that at previous meetings. Garrett, I believe has connections with Ellen Robertson.
And he called me and told me he has a personal relationship with Ellen.
That's great.
Okay, good.
Sharon and then Brent.
I know Cynthia Newbill and I own property in Reva's district.
Okay, can I have your pencil? Thank you.
And Reva and Michael Jones meet together.
Yeah.
Their district meetings, they meet together, at least was my experience, because I was assigned to them.
Oh, I may need it again because Brent's going to tell me something important.
Yeah, I actually pay more taxes in Ellen's district than I do. I've got a business and real estate in the 6th district.
Ellen is really important because this is her library.
Yeah.
It sits in her district.
Yes.
The main library.
Okay.
And is,
Okay.
working on the master plan for
Okay.
it, so.
And then
Okay.
our
It's
church,
really important,
our
so.
church, which is on Arthur Ashe Boulevard, does a lot of work for Reba and helping the people in her district
Okay. That,
as a community outreach.
great, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Okay. So, we keep Bill on 1. Sound good?
Yep.
Gail is gonna be lead on 2. I'll be helpful, but Gail,
Sure.
you should be in charge. You should be in charge.
May I just say that this is a signal for Emily for future recruitment. I realize we also look for skill connections and things like that, but to have so many unrepresented, it used to be required, I think, that there's somebody from each one, and I think it was kind of impossible to make it perfect, but this is kind of a
So
disaster.
I want to give Emily a second charge. It's not just this. The person has to be willing to advocate for the library. If they don't love the library enough that they're not willing to talk about it, we're probably going to be unsatisfying to them because we're going to make them do that. So, and that is no surprise to you. Okay, so Bill for 1, Gail for 2. Barbara has just a band. Barbara, you're good for 3?
Yes.
I used to babysit Anne Francis, so I can help you out there.
I knew her father really well.
I do.
Okay, so I'm going to put Barbara in charge, but Sharon, we're putting your name underneath that, okay?
So can we mention that here now?
What?
That
Janet, you are completely in charge of 4.
All right.
For anybody who may not know, that Lambert is of the Lambert
Ben
family
Lambert.
that has been integral to advocating for the libraries for years.
Right.
I
Ben used
may
to
be
be
the
on
only person who doesn't know that historically, so.
Ben used to be on our board, obviously before his passing, but.
Janet, you good with 4?
Sure.
Emily, you've already done a good job. Okay, so I'm going to put Brent and Garrett working together on vice president. That's
Yes.
for number 6. Number 7, Sharon, it's all you. Are you good with that?
Yeah,
Okay, now we have Reva and Michael Jones. So Reva, we have Sharon and Brent, and Michael Jones, we know Garrett knows him. I can do either of those, however you guys want. You guys tell me how we should do 8.
8 or 9? 9?
I'm giving Garrett 9.
Oh, okay, all right, so Garrett, okay.
I'm making Garrett do 2 things, because he wasn't at the meeting. That's how it
Yeah.
works. That's how it works.
Yeah, that's true.
So he's also 6, Garrett is? Garrett?
Yes.
6.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I just have Garrett on 6 and 9.
Okay.
I took him off 4. And I took Sharon off 4. And I took Brent off 4. So it's just you, Janet.
Where'd you put Sharon? Oh, 7?
Okay, I'm gonna I'll read it aloud. Sharon is 7.
Okay.
Okay, so right now, we can make changes. You can think about it for 48 hours because I'll send out the new list. Bill 1. Gail 2. Barbara and Sharon 3. Janet 4. Emily 5. Brent and Garrett 6. Sharon 7. 8. Okay, do Brent and Sharon want to do 8 too? Do you two want to do?
Sure.
Is that good? Okay, thank you, thank you. And then Garrett 9.
And Chris, you stay on 2nd with Garrett?
I'm gonna be not particularly helpful to Gail because I'll just do what she tells me. But
The first thing
I'm going to
is they
work,
meet here.
Sharon, can I work with you on 7?
sure.
Okay, she's the president, so I think that might be.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna work with you, if you're good with that. Okay, I'll send this out. No harm, no foul, let's get this right, where you're comfortable. My feelings aren't hurt if you reject me. I'm in fundraising, people reject me all the time. not a problem. But let's turn it around in 24 hours, okay? 48 hours, we'll give it 2 days. Okay, so now we've got the who, that's big. Messaging. You guys need information to move forward, right? So we need to work on messages. And one of the things I'm going to suggest is that the district you're assigned to, Scott, and the library managers in that district all have a quick 30-minute meeting or Zoom, so that you have a personal relationship, if you don't already, with the manager of the library serving your council person's area. That you guys comfortable with that? Then I think we need to we're gonna get stories. So we're gonna do a Zoom with branch managers. We're gonna work on those personal stories with cute little children and people who've gotten jobs and people who were sick and were healed. We're gonna take personal stories. And the more personal, I think we decided earlier on, to that district, the more powerful, right? Okay, this I'm gonna give as Scott's assignment.
One quick question. Do we have one district that doesn't have a library?
The fifth doesn't,
That
but
doesn't, right, it's close, but.
The second doesn't either.
Right, that's what I was gonna say, the line is funny on the right on.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So we
I'm
need
going
to
to
think
have the
about
magical
what you consider
Donna
there.
work out the meetings with the branch managers. And Scott and I will help her. Do you want me to gather up the council meeting schedules for each councilman? Would that be helpful to you? Each councilman's meeting schedule? What else would be helpful that would empower you as you begin to think? And we'll do more, I mean, we'll as a group all move together as opposed to you being off by your, we're all together on this. What else would be helpful to you? Is this a good start?
Yeah.
Okay. All
That's a
right.
good start, but I still would like something in writing, that we can.
We have to have that. We have to have that. Scott's going to do that. We have to have that. And it's got to be focused on your council person. We can have a few general things, but there's got to be at least one story. Also, talking to the branch manager is going to give him a connection with you so that you can begin to, he knows you're looking for, she knows you're looking for that. And we can start to feed those in. Yeah.
So let me back up. So we're doing a Zoom meeting with our local branch manager?
Right. So here's the example, Sharon. And that's just a suggestion. If you don't want to do, we're not going to do it. But the wonderful graph here is each of the districts and the libraries in it. So you and Brent would meet with, in person or on Zoom, you guys tell me the library managers that are in Riva's district.
Okay.
And you would ask those library managers, would you like to invite the council person here? If you did, what would we do? Do you have any great stories? What are the things that have happened in the past 2 or 3 years that would warm your heart? Wait, anything else you need to know?
Okay.
Talk with them.
Okay.
Is Hull Street or Broad Rock in Rivas District?
Broad Rock.
Broad Rock.
Broad Rock is definitely, I don't know, I think it's in Reva's district, but I think it's really close to Ellen's district.
Right.
so they kind of share it.
Right.
But people will show up at like the Wall Street Merchants Association, and so she kind of has that one also.
Okay.
But there's a whole bunch of questions, you know, what does she think is the most important thing she does at her library? Who are the people that go? Who does she want to reach out to? I mean, they're going to give you that local sense of success, high goals, and stumbling blocks.
Reality.
Yeah, reality, that's exactly right.
So if I were to go to a Kristen Larson public meeting, which I think I don't know, I'm not 100% sure if she's having them yet.
Okay,
And she usually has them in the community center at Huguenot High School.
okay.
So what I would like to be able to do, to minimize me talking, which would bore people completely, I would like a short video hitting on the high points of why public libraries and this public library are great, 5 minutes max, and then I would talk or answer questions and then leave them with something like a bookmark size that reiterates some of the points that we're trying to get across about why libraries are valuable. So they watch things because we know everybody's visual now, and they hear a little bit and interact a little bit, and then they go away with
Right.
something that says, look, on here it says you can go online and get an e-card. Because maybe they didn't know that.
Right. I like the visual. How hard is that, Scott? Doesn't have to be professional.
We'll try and figure something out.
Well, we can do some things and we can't do
Yeah,
some things,
I don't know how
so.
easy it'll be for me to produce a video like quickly, but we can look at things.
TikTok, you got TikTok?
No, I do not engage with that.
Gail?
I was just, times have changed likely, but when I met in the 8th and 9th districts, neither had film tech, you know, a way to display that. For instance, I did a PowerPoint, no way to do that, even though I asked in advance. But, so anyway, there might be limitations. so
Right,
that has to be-
right.
Okay, yeah, might be
And it
limitations.
might not work in all settings, I'm just reflecting what the room where she has had the meeting in the past.
Have handouts, in other words.
Yeah.
I'd like to demo the website, for instance. I think people
Well, the thing
don't-
about using an internet connection
Yeah,
is
that's
it
the-
can get hinky, so a
Right,
video,
yeah,
you
no
just,
question, I
you
understand that.
put up
yeah.
and play.
Okay, yeah.
But screen catchers or something.
Yeah, okay. Again, we're gonna work to get all on the same page, but with each of you fully supported as you move forward. This is step 1. And I don't know if there's 5 steps or 30 steps.
12 steps. We might end up being there, but.
Yeah. But I think it's a good start. What do you guys think? What did we forget to talk about? Yeah.
When your council member looks at you and says, what do you want?
Well,
We need to have
and
an answer.
fortunately, we have the brilliant Scott who has started to work on the wish list. And again, we'll read through that, yes. We'll read through that, we will make it personal to our individual council person. And I'll tell you, I'm so impressed you guys know so much about and have relationships with these councils. I mean, boy, that's super, makes it easier.
Another outreach issue that will be coming up with the master plan for Maine is not only council, but also the urban design committee and the planning commission.
Okay.
Because this process is long. It's going to go through multiple city
Right,
steps.
okay,
For
okay,
approval.
yeah,
So, and
yeah.
we've got to get it approved.
Yeah.
And I would say Susan's comment about what are we asking for is really salient. question. I mean, it's important that we have an answer for that. I think the two things are there that we've got to factor into our presentation on this. One is short term, which is supporting our operational budget back to the level where it should be.
Right.
The other is that long term, and we don't have a number on that yet, but we need to have them thinking of it from a capital budget perspective. So those are the two. We're not asking for money specifically when we talk. Scott's going to present that, and so on. But those are the two things. We need your short-term funding to operate properly, and we need long-term investment funding.
And an ally in the short term gives you a partner in the long term.
It should.
So that will all work out.
And one of the messages, I don't know that we can do it, how bluntly we can do it, but I think we need to think about, and it's covered in multiple things there. The Parks and Rec got a ton of money from, this federal and so on. And the mayor put it there, and the council has been pretty supportive of leaving it there.
Right.
Okay? In a lot of ways, we're the part of that same physical, mental health of the city. We're just not getting thought of as the parks on that. And people should be thinking of us. We're helping people keep their brains engaged and keeping aware of things and being good, healthy citizens of the city. And we're also, like parks, non-political. So I think we really fit with that a lot. And if they're behind that one, they need to realize that we didn't get anything.
We're an indoor park.
And we need to get it. We're an indoor park.
We're an indoor park.
One thing I can add about that, I'm sorry I'm a broken record, but one reason Park and Recs got so much money is they had a master plan that was adopted by the city.
Yeah.
It has to be done. We have to go through this process as well and make sure it passes before we have paneling falling off on people's heads in this building.
Right. Do you need help with the administration, or should we focus on council? I think we could actually do two things, but this is your call.
Council and the mayor.
Mayor, we need
Forget
to
the
have it
mayor
out.
in this strategy too, because the mayor crafts the original budget and the council has an opportunity to make adjustments or suggestions and
Okay.
call. So it needs to be an approach that also considers the mayor. So,
Okay, okay. So how would, throw out some how you would approach them, what you would like to see happen with the mayor.
I think probably start with the chief administrative officer and talk to Lincoln Saunders. He is the new chief administrative officer, then possibly, and that should probably come from Bill. I mean, we haven't had any opportunities to have a conversation with anybody from administration since the pandemic started or since we had somebody. So Bill would be an approach. The vice chair would probably be included in that, and then see where we go from there. And talk about these concerns, raise these issues with them.
And we may need to get the deputy CAO involved, since we sort of fall under.
Yeah, so Reggie would definitely be one to be involved. They would probably, if we can get on their schedule to have a meeting with them and talk about the concerns, yeah.
Okay, okay.
I think that'd be the way to go.
I'll help you, but you're in
Is
charge.
it takes
We good?
place?
Yeah.
Is there a meeting that takes place already in their calendar? Where the mayor and the chief and Reggie, where all of them would be together?
They routinely meet, but I think this would be a meeting of a special, so we would just make an appointment with the CAO.
And Reggie sort of opened that door up
Yeah.
with his first of the time Zoom, where he included all the city departments who wanted him
Yeah.
specifically, so.
And I think we have a good opportunity. The newly appointed CAO is very engaged and thoughtful about how the city wants to progress. So I think we have a good opportunity to discuss the needs and concerns and give our
Okay.
chance.
Okay, so we start with the CAO and the deputy. And Bill's in charge, so I'm really happy with that.
I mean,
Okay.
that's the way the chain of command should work in communication with them.
Yeah, no, of course. Okay, I think it's an excellent start. I applaud all of you. Can we all clap for each other, because this is great. Good work. Happy holidays. Over to Bill.
Okay. I guess I need to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, Gail, and a second from Sharon, all in favor? Aye. Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you all.
I did well had for
Great job, thank you.
Thank you for your help, everybody.